What happens when the man who taught a generation how to dance must learn how to grieve? When fame becomes a spotlight, illuminating your deepest pain. John Travolta has stood at the peak of stardom twice in his life, commanding $20 million per film and seeing his face on billboards across the world. But he has also stood beside 3 deathbeds, holding the hands of the people he loved most as they slipped away from him. 2 Academy Award nominations, 5 decades of unforgettable performances, a fortune of $250 million. None of it could protect him from the losses that would define him more than any role ever could. This is not a story about Hollywood magic or the glamour of celebrity. This is a story about a man who discovered that no amount of applause can drown out the sound of a final heartbeat. At 70 years old, with Saturday Night Fever and Grease etched permanently into popular culture, John Travolta has learned something most of us will never understand. Sometimes, survival itself is the greatest performance of all. Sometimes, just waking up each morning and choosing to continue is the bravest thing a person can do. John Joseph Travolta entered the world on February 18, 1954 in Englewood, New Jersey. He was the youngest of 6 children born into a family where dreams had to fight for space alongside unpaid bills. His father, Salvatore, had once played semi-professional football, but those glory days were distant memories. Now he sold tires, coming home each night with hands stained black from rubber and exhaustion etched into his face. His mother, Helen Cecilia Burke, had sung with the Sunshine Sisters on radio programs that filled American living rooms with music. But she had traded that stage for a high school classroom where she taught drama to teenagers who rarely appreciated her. Money was not just tight in the Travolta household, it was almost invisible. Young John watched his parents perform their own kind of dance, the careful choreography of making ends meet. Dinner meant careful portions and no second helpings. New clothes were a luxury reserved for special occasions that rarely came. His older siblings' hand-me-downs arrived already worn, carrying the shape of other bodies and other dreams. The family lived in an Irish-American neighborhood where struggle was the common language, where winter cold seeped through thin walls, and where the future felt like something that happened to other people. But Helen Travolta possessed something no poverty could touch. She had vision. She saw something in her youngest son that transcended their cramped house and empty bank account. She whispered to him in those formative years that talent was the great equalizer, that the stage did not care about your address or your father's paycheck. She told him that being poor was temporary, but being ordinary was forever. Those words planted themselves deep in John's heart like seeds waiting for the right moment to grow. When John turned 16, he made a decision that would have terrified most parents. He stood up from his desk at Dwight Morrow High School in his junior year and walked away from the conventional path. He dropped out, choosing uncertainty over safety. Remarkably, his parents supported him. His mother looked at him with an intensity he would never forget and delivered a message that became his life's compass. "If this is what you want," she said, "then you must give it everything. No backup plan, no safety net. You either make it or become a cautionary tale." Those words became his engine. John crossed the Hudson River into New York City with barely enough money for a week. He slept on floors that smelled of mildew and broken dreams. He auditioned for everything, swallowing rejection after rejection like bitter medicine he had to take to survive. He landed a role touring with Grease, not as the leading man Danny, but as Duty, a supporting character in the background. He made his Broadway debut in Over Here, a show that closed quickly and left barely a trace in theater history. He worked odd jobs that ground down his dignity day by day. His fingers went numb distributing flyers on frozen New York streets where the wind cut through his thin jacket. He carried equipment for productions that paid almost nothing, his back aching, his pride wounded. He sang for audiences that barely noticed him, their eyes glazing over as he poured his heart out on small stages. He did television commercials that aired once and disappeared. He took any work that came because saying no meant going hungry, and going hungry meant admitting defeat. But he kept moving forward because stopping meant proving his mother wrong, and that was a reality he could not bear. Each rejection became fuel. Each closed door became motivation to knock on the next one. He was building calluses on his soul, the kind that would serve him well in the brutal years to come. Then, 1975 arrived and changed everything. Welcome back. Cotter premiered on television, and John Travolta playing the lovable fool Vinnie Barbarino became an overnight sensation at 21 years old. Girls screamed his name. His face appeared on magazine covers in grocery stores across America. He released a single called Let Her In that climbed to number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. For the first time in his life, John could breathe without the crushing weight of poverty on his chest. But fame is a dangerous thing. In 1976, on the set of a television movie called The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, Travolta met Diana Hyland. She was 41, elegant and weathered by life. He was 22, a young man wrapped in sudden fame. She played his mother in the film despite the 18-year age gap, despite how it looked to the outside world. They fell completely in love. I have never been more in love with anyone in my life. Travolta would confess years later. I thought I was in love before, but I was not. From the moment I met her, I was attracted. We were like two maniacs talking all the time on the set. After a month, it became romantic. They were inseparable. They escaped to Palm Springs and Big Bear and New York. Diana's young son from a previous marriage joining them. Travolta felt he had found his other half. He chose a house for them. They planned to move in together the moment he finished filming his next movie. Saturday Night Fever. The future looked bright and endless. But Diana Hyland was dying. She had undergone a mastectomy 2 years before they met, the cancer already spreading through her body. She did not know she was going to die for sure until 2 weeks before. Travolta later revealed, during the filming of Saturday Night Fever while he was becoming the biggest star on the planet, they spoke every evening on the phone, her voice growing fainter with each call, his desperation growing louder. When her death became inevitable, he abandoned the movie set and rushed back to Los Angeles. The day before she died, they walked together in the garden. She touched flowers she would never see bloom again. He held her hand as if holding could stop time. They spoke of small things because the large things were too terrible to name. On March 27, 1977, Diana Hyland died in John Travolta's arms. I felt the breath go out of her, he whispered years later. The memory still raw. He was 23 years old, standing on the edge of superstardom, holding the woman he loved as she took her final breath. He learned in that moment that success and sorrow are not opposites. They are twins. At Diana's memorial service, John wore a white suit they had chosen together for a trip to Rio de Janeiro they would never take. The hardest 10 weeks of my life. He said later, he survived by working, by promoting Saturday Night Fever, by becoming the character the world wanted him to be. And Saturday Night Fever exploded like a cultural bomb. The image of Travolta in a white polyester suit, arm thrust toward heaven, became the symbol of an entire era. The Bee Gees soundtrack sold in staggering numbers. Travolta earned his first Academy Award nomination. Then Grease arrived in 1978, grossing nearly $400 million worldwide. It became the highest-grossing live-action movie musical of all time. By 1980, with urban cowboy John Travolta was everywhere. But the cost was devastating. His body sagged under the relentless demand for more movies, more interviews, more performances. His mind swung between grief for Diana and the dizzying rush of fame. There was no time to mourn properly. The world demanded he dance and smile and embody joy. So he danced. He smiled. He buried his pain beneath choreography and sequence, performing happiness while his heart bled in private. Then the fall began, and it was more brutal than anyone could have predicted. The movies started failing one after another, moment by moment. In 1978 was a critical and commercial disaster. Two of a Kind in 1983 flopped at the box office. Staying Alive in 1983, despite his star power, disappointed everyone. Perfect in 1985 was torn apart by critics who seemed to take pleasure in watching him stumble. Each failure chipped away at his confidence, at the invincibility he had felt just a few years earlier. But the real tragedy was not the bad reviews or the empty theaters. It was the roles he turned down that became legendary, the opportunities that slipped through his fingers while he was making what seemed like safe choices. American Gigolo went to Richard Gere and made him a star. An Officer and a Gentleman went to Richard Gere and cemented his status. Splash went to Tom Hanks and launched a different kind of career. Each decision made perfect sense at the time, but each became a missed opportunity that would haunt Travolta for years. By the late 1980s, John Travolta was no longer a star. He was a relic of a bygone era, a punchline in late-night monologues, a cautionary tale whispered on movie sets about the price of hubris and poor choices. The experts in 1989 was so thoroughly ignored, it might as well have never existed. His career was not just struggling, it was in complete ruins. The phone calls from producers stopped coming. The scripts that used to arrive by the dozen disappeared entirely. The man who had been the brightest light in Hollywood, who had made the world dance and fall in love, was now invisible. He was still alive, still talented, but the industry had moved on without him. Some people carry pain like a badge. Travolta said years later, "I carry it quietly in the spaces between heartbeats." Then, Look Who's Talking arrived in 1989, a romantic comedy about a talking baby that somehow grossed $297 million. It was not a resurrection, just a lifeline. He made sequels. He floated through the early 1990s waiting for something to change. And then Quentin Tarantino called. Tarantino wanted Travolta to play Vincent Vega, a heroin-addicted hitman in Pulp Fiction. Travolta hesitated for 6 months. He agonized. He prayed. Finally, he said yes. Pulp Fiction did not merely revive his career, it rewrote the rules entirely. Travolta's performance was a masterclass in controlled chaos. His dance with Uma Thurman reminded the world he still possessed magic. His chemistry with Samuel L. Jackson was electric. The film won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. Travolta earned his second Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, impossibly, he was back. Get Shorty face-off primary colors for a glorious decade. He commanded $20 million per movie. He had done what almost no one does. He had risen from the dead. But resurrection always demands payment. In 1991, Travolta married actress Kelly Preston. With Kelly, he found not just love, but sanctuary. They had 3 children together. Jet born in 1992. Ella Blue, born in 2000, and Benjamin, born in 2010. Jet was diagnosed with autism and suffered from seizures. The family learned to navigate this challenge together, loving him fiercely. Then came January 2 in 2009. The family was vacationing in the Bahamas. 16-year-old Jet was found unresponsive in the bathroom. He had suffered a seizure and struck his head on the bathtub. "I ran downstairs to help my son." Travolta testified later. He performed CPR, desperately trying to bring his boy back. But Jet was gone. The symmetry was unbearable. Diana at 41. Jet at 16. Both sudden, both devastating, both leaving John shattered. Jet was the most wonderful son that 2 parents could ever ask for. John and Kelly said in a statement, "We are heartbroken that our time with him was so brief." 1 year later, Kelly gave birth to Benjamin. He gave the house a renewed spirit. John said they tried to rebuild their lives around this new joy, tried to heal from a wound that could never fully close. But on July 12, 2020, Kelly Preston died at 57 after a 2-year battle with breast cancer. It is with a very heavy heart. John wrote that my beautiful wife Kelly has lost her battle with breast cancer. The pattern was too cruel to be coincidence. Diana at 41 from breast cancer. Kelly at 57 from breast cancer. The disease had taken both the women he loved most. After Kelly's death, John had a conversation with 10-year-old Benjamin that broke his heart. "Because Mom passed away." The boy whispered, "I am afraid you are going to die too." John did not lie to comfort him. "Benny said I could die tomorrow. You could. Anybody can. It is part of life. You just do your best at trying to live the longest you can." Now at 70, John Travolta lives at his Jambalaya estate in Ocala, Florida, where his home sits beside a private runway. He owns multiple aircraft. His net worth stands at $250 million. Yet what defines him now is not wealth, but endurance. He supports the Jet Travolta Foundation, helping other families dealing with autism and seizure disorders. He raises Ella and Benjamin with fierce devotion. He posts tributes to those he has lost, keeping their memories alive in the digital age. But his career has faded. His recent films earn almost nothing at the box office. The industry that once worshipped him now forgets he exists. The roles have dried up. The spotlight has moved to younger faces with fresher stories. Applause fades. He once said, "Trophies gather dust." But the people you love, the moments you shared these, endure beyond everything else. John Travolta's journey spans from a tire shop in New Jersey to the pinnacle of fame and back down again. From holding a dying lover at 23 to burying a wife and son decades later, from disco king to forgotten man to legend, his life teaches us that survival itself is a kind of triumph. That love is worth the grief it inevitably brings. That even when the music stops, dancers keep moving forward. Thank you for watching this story about a man who gave us joy even as his heart shattered repeatedly. If his journey has touched you, leave a comment sharing your thoughts. And wherever you are tonight, may you find the courage to endure whatever comes. May you love even knowing loss is inevitable. May you keep dancing even when the music fades. Because if John Travolta can keep going after everything he has faced, perhaps we all can too.